All right, so this week in Pax Day, we got the final teaser for what remains of the Verse 2 Market Square update. There's some interesting and really cool new features that I think are going to be coming that some players are really going to like and others maybe less so. So we'll talk about all of that. And then also this week, we had the closing of the poem submissions for the Valentine's Day video that Mainframe is going to be putting out next week. We're going to talk about all of that and a little bit more. We do have mention of a roadmap here, which means we're going to go all the way back to the last roadmap and talk about it. You'll want to stay tuned. But hello and welcome all of you amazingly professional consumers of Pax Day and Pax Day related content out there. My name is Eltari, the Professional Gamer, and this is another episode of the PAX Friday Review, the show where we talk about all the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped for PAX Day over the last week. Like I said, kind of a small week in terms of what was teased, but we did get some information specifically about what is to come in part 3 of the Market Square update. There's not much more for Verse 2 past what is mentioned in part 3. I don't think we're going to have a part 4. I think we're going to be moving on into Verse 3 come spring. We do have some information as to what we can expect there. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video, but let's go ahead and get to it. Take a look at some things. We'll head over to playpaxday.com and we'll go from there. I'll see you over there. All right, so here we are on playpaxday.com, and you can see we have the upcoming content update, Verse 2 Part 3. Yes, so far in the Market Square, we have gotten access to Gold. We have also gotten access to Grace, though these are both the systems that are in their early infancy stage, and as a result, they exist, but the features are things that are going to be getting built on in future verses, future content updates. It does not look like we are going to be refining any of that in part 3, if that's something that you were looking for, but there were some critical things that were mentioned in the most recent roadmap that hadn't been included, specifically being the compass. Now, we do have kind of an example of the compass. I will actually blow that up on screen so you can see it a little bit better. For many of you who are recently probably playing the new Civilizations 7, I know I went and checked it out. UI has been like a thing, and okay, so here's my take on this. I think there are two camps of players. One that's like, we need some kind of compass. Maybe they're familiar with like New World and how the compass kind of popped up all the resources that are nearby. And then there's another camp of players who think that is just the wrong choice. So I do see that we have like a campfire on here and then some points of interest. I also see that there seems to be some kind of question mark, as well as an exclamation point and an arrow, like a bow and arrow. I really hope that we're not going to just start displaying all of the resources that are available. First and foremost, I think there's too many resources. So for those of us who are concerned about this change, I don't think that we're going to get all of the resources popping up on this. This might be something that eventually ties into our skills in game. So the higher you are in leatherworking, like when you're getting up there in leatherworking, maybe you'll start seeing when there's rare animals that you can go and slay to harvest better leather from. Who knows? But really, the gripe that I have with this is I feel like it kind of detracts from part of the appeal for Pax Day. You know, when you're going around the world, you're exploring. And sometimes when you make a wrong turn, while as annoying as that can be, it also is kind of a real motivator in the game, or not motivator, but a real reason to go and find new things. And when you have a compass, I feel like sometimes players can just fall into the trap of going the same direction every single time. And I mean, that also can apply to maps too. But either way, I hope there's a way that we can turn on or off this specific compass. And I do hope that there isn't really many natural benefits to having this compass turned on. Or at the very least, I feel like it looks incredibly big in relation to every other UI element that exists on the screen. The like east and south and west and north indicators, the cardinal directions on this compass, in my opinion, look really, really large. Obviously, they can change that and the UI elements can change. And this is probably just a demonstration of what that looks like. And maybe it's blown up so that we can see it. It's more pronounced. But either way, not a bad addition. I wouldn't say it's one that's popular with everyone, though. Take it for what it is. I like that Mainframe is not afraid to include certain things like compasses and have it so we can experience with it. I'm also confident that if a majority of the player base says, yeah, this compass thing is like the wrong direction, pun intended, then, you know, they would probably take it away. But I'm excited to see what possible new features can be coming from this and what potentially those exclamation points and question marks are. It could be really cool. Maybe this is how marketplaces can be advertised eventually. You'll have a marketplace icon as you get closer and closer and closer to someone's market. So you actually know that there's a market nearby. So maybe not resources, but for markets or something. It could be a really, really cool feature. So I'm excited to see where they go with it before I form any kind of negative opinion on it. But then we also have some market additions. So exciting improvements are coming to the markets, making trading more efficient and accessible. Sorting and filtering options will be enhanced, allowing players to navigate listings early. Now, the next thing is these are important to pave the way for a new feature, which is home valley browsing, which lets you explore all markets in a home valley, and then you can set a waypoint to go to that specific market. So what I believe that means is if you are on the server Nix and you go to RS, which is in Isgalia, you can open up a list of all of the different markets and see all of the current prices in that particular home valley. This is okay. It is not a global market. I would be really concerned if there was a global market, but maybe in the future, if there is like a merchant or mercantile skill or bartering skill or something like that players can grow and develop as they use markets or something, then maybe that visibility can expand to other home valleys or maybe even other provinces that are further and further away from the player themselves so that they can get the best deals without having to travel the distance. Obviously, you also have to travel in order to get the material. So that is the other point that I kind of wanted to make for market additions. The home valley browsing is just that. It's browsing. It's kind of like you're going to Amazon, but instead of just being able to order it and then it shows up in a box like 5 hours later, however quickly Amazon's able to get packages to you now, instead you place the order and you have to go pick it up in store. So you're still going to have to pick this stuff up in store. It's not taking away any of the traveling that you have to do. It's just increasing visibility. If some of you have tuned in to some of our live streams that we've done, we've talked about marketplaces. One of my personal things where I wish they would be able to do it is, you know, the devs have come on this channel before and they've teased a little bit about kind of comfort mechanics. So if you've played Valheim, the comfort system that's in there, or if you make something look like a blacksmithy in the future, it might actually make your crafts better or give certain benefits or certain attributes to items and stuff like that. What if we did the same thing for markets, where if you place things in a market that make the market feel and look more like a market, it increases that comfort level, and the higher that level is, the more likely it is to show up on a map or show up on someone's compass, for example. And maybe that even makes it visible as a market during home valley browsing multiple away. That would be a really cool feature. And I hope that something like that is in the works in the future, if not for this, but for some other stuff. I really like the idea of comfort systems kind of enticing players to build in ways that make things look and feel more accurate, not force them to do that. There's always going to be creative players out there that can find ways to build anything. I know some of them. And with that, I just think it does incentivize more, systematic gameplay elements to come in and actually be a part, like when we're building stuff, to have it actually mean something as well as look cool. Now, another one that I think was we mentioned the two camps with the two directions, I guess, with the compass. Well, there's also kind of two camps with regards to building and the cost revamp for new pieces. So one of the things here is that they're trying to make a streamlined approach to all the prices for building materials. And they're going to reduce the recipes to only have a maximum of 2 materials going into it. So for example, building a stone wall requires clay and nice rock. That's it. Everything else is going to have similar cost requirements where you're not going to have everything there. And this is to make it more straightforward, but still not compromise on the depth and flexibility. But I know that while one camp is excited about this because it streamlines it, it helps their inventories be more simplified when they're trying to build. So they have to go to less boxes to switch out materials as they're building. There's another camp that is concerned because they feel like the systems are getting dumbed down. I don't think that is necessarily the case, but those are the two different camps that I think I've heard on that particular front. But throughout this entire article, we also talked about the roadmap, and I think with part 3 of verse 2 now being teased in this, what I would think is probably going to be the final teaser, since there's not too much for them to add with verse 2, I think it's time to go and look at what we can expect in verse 3. So I will see you over at the product roadmap. All right, so here we are, the road ahead. This was originally posted alongside the Proving Grounds Early Access verse 1, and we do have verse 2, which has been teased here. It says for the winter that we got Market Stall, Gold Economy, Compass, Friends List, and then some language updates for German and French speakers, and then more to come. Now, with verse 2, it looked like it was not going to have altogether too much other than the Gold Economy and Market Stalls, and we were worried that we weren't going to get the sync that makes gold valuable. Well, we did get that in verse 2 eventually, but we didn't get everything. So here it says altars and miracles. We have the miracles and the blessings that were added to the game. That is the gold sync, but we didn't get altars, and we didn't actually get, in my opinion, what would feel more like a parish system or some kind of religious system in game. But there's also a lot of other stuff that we have to look forward to. I mean, just looking specifically at later during early access, well, after part 3 of verse 2, we're kind of looking at later during early access. We have things like new furniture, planter farming, weather, better NPC behaviors, more crowd control. Then we have the PvP side of things with knight roles and soldier roles. Then we have the religious systems with altars and miracles. And I think with altars, that's when we're probably going to see the transportation style miracles, or like the general miracles. Right now we just have the crafting and gathering miracles, but we don't have those other, general or miscellaneous miracles just yet, or at least we don't have the teleportation one. And then unveil the lore. That's still kind of ambiguous, though I do think we have a really good opportunity to have that happen in February, at the end of February, kind of at the anniversary of Pax Dei's original announcement. And then also gear customization, which if you've been paying attention and watching some of the Pax Friday reviews, there was kind of a epic, or not an epic, but an Unreal Engine kind of gathering, and Thor Gunnarsson, the CEO, went and teased gear customization and all the different patterns that we're going to be able to have. That might be coming sooner rather than later. I actually think that we'd be able to expect that in spring. And then we also have voice chat. We haven't updated to UE 5.4, but we did get GeForce Now. We also released on the Epic Game Store, and then they're talking about controller support. Now, there were some ongoing things like building and crafting balance. I think that's what we're getting in this phase 3 update. They also mentioned key remapping. That's something that happened all the way down in verse 1 in the fall. Improved combat feel, this is ongoing, but new spells and new enemies. We've seen the new enemies teased with that really big Zebian, as well as some female Zebians as well. And then new spells, we haven't gotten any yet. There haven't been any new spells since June when the game released. So looking forward to that, I think new spells will either come with more access at the current tiers that we have, but also theoretically new spells for higher tiers. And I guess I should correct myself. We did get 3 spells, but they're kind of more starter spells. They weren't really new mechanics, so to speak. Those were really the only spells that were added. I wouldn't say that they changed any kind of mechanics of the game. It'll be great when we start getting some more skill-based spells. I look forward to that. And then they also said expanded building sets, which we've seen teased already, as well as the improved permission system. This is something that's already been given to us, and then new gear. So out of everything that's coming in the road ahead, I think the ones that are closest to us are this gear customization. We've been talking a lot about knight rolls and soldier rolls, so hopefully that will come with verse 3, sorry. But then we also know that altars are probably pretty close with the miracles and blessings that we already got, and gear customization seems like it's a feature that's already well under development, and we've seen a lot of new building sets. So I think verse 3 is going to have a lot of stuff coming out. I think that not only is it going to have a lot of stuff coming out, but I feel like a great opportunity to tease all of that will be later this month, early March, because that is kind of the anniversary of the game. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Of course, we will be here to cover all of that for you, and that's where we're going to end this video. I will talk a lot more about the road ahead in the coming days. I have one video recorded specifically talking about all of the exciting things that are going to be coming to Pax Dei and kind of the top 5 that I'm really looking forward to. But with that, like I mentioned at the very start of the video, we had the conclusion of all submissions for the Valentine's Day Mainframe video, and there was one in particular who they are a viewer of the channel, and I have played with them. I think we've gone on dungeon runs before, but Zenlark has a very nice poem that I wanted to share with all of you kind of in conclusion, and that is, it's called Before Too Long, and it says, remember when we'd wait for the leaks, Eltari vids and sneak peeks, debates about this very thing, meteorological, astronomical, what do they mean by this spring? So we'll end it with that. Hopefully you liked this video. Zenlark, thank you for that really cool little shout out that you gave in the poem. And yeah, subscribe, it helps the channel out. You'll get notified whenever we come out with new videos, and share this with any of your friends who are interested in staying up to date with Pax Dei. There's a lot of stuff that's coming. I mentioned this at the very start of the year and at the end of last year. 2025 is going to be the year of Pax Dei. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like we're going to be getting in 25. So until the next video, I'm Eltari the Professional Gamer. Hope you have a good one.